Welcome back, friends, to another episode of Lynch Paints, and if you're new, hi, welcome along. Today we're going to be painting the Emperor Spears chapter for your Space Marine armies, and if you enjoy this video, then don't forget to like, and if you're new, subscribe will be massively appreciated. So, without further ado, let's grab our paints and paintbrushes and our trident, and let's dive straight into it. But of course, before we get started, we're going to need a selection of paints, and these are all the ones I've used in this video today, alongside which we will only need a medium-sized brush and a teeny tiny brush for all of those teeny tiny places. So we're going to start the process off with a black acrylic primer just all over the model, just to give it a nice dark base coat. And then we're going to take some of this Cantor blue. It's quite a dark blue, but we're going to start from here and then slowly build our colours up. Just using a medium-sized brush, we're just going to take this and apply it all over the armour plates. So now that the first layer is done, we're going to go back over it a second time just to really smooth it out as best we can. And of course, we'll be thinning our paints down just with a tiny bit of water or some paint thinner, some medium paint, just so then we get a nice smooth finish before we start building up our next colours. So we've just finished our second coat, and this has really smoothed out the model and the paint job from the first stage. And if there's anywhere that you've kind of gone over onto areas that they shouldn't be blue, you can always just tidy it up later on. So I'm going to start to increase the colour, make it a little bit brighter. So I have this Lothran blue, but any lighter blue will do the trick. So now we're just going to start to slowly mix the two together to create a lighter blue. And then we're just going to thin it down with some water, or again, if you have some medium, just to thin it down instead, you can use that. And then we're going to start to build our lovely blue to a lighter blue. After completing that layer, what we're going to do is that we're just going to gradually introduce more and more of the lighter shade of blue until we reach a sort of shade of blue that we are satisfied and happy with. That's as close as we can. I think it's going to take another couple of layers, but as long as you keep your paints nice and thinned down, then you should get a really nice smooth finish by the end of it. So I've now got the blue to a really nice level. Now I'm just going to go over and just add in little bits of this null oil, just into some of the recesses to maximise our contrast. So now that he's had a wash, we are now going to go over to the highlights. So I'm using 2 parts Lothran blue, 1 part Cantor blue, because we don't want it to be too bright of a blue. And I did realise that as I was going around painting all the armour pieces, that I forgot to leave the head as it is, because that's meant to be in white. So we will go back over that when we get round to it. But you're going to want a thin brush for this. Thin it with a little bit of water just to get a nice flow. And just be as careful as you can. Take your time with this and it should look fantastic when we're done. Now that the blue armour is complete, we're going to move over and do the metalwork. So, starting out with this dark Iron Warriors, and then with just a small fine detail brush, I'm just going to do the under armour and a few of the other places. And then we'll highlight some of these areas using this nice bright Rune Fang steel. So, returning back to the issue that I had with obviously painting the helmet in a blue rather than a white. So, what we have here is we have Korax white. And with this being a base paint, it means it generally goes on a bit thicker than your standard Citadel layer colours. So, just grabbing a medium-sized brush, and we're going to very carefully just go over the helmet. So the helmet's going to take a couple of coats just to make it nice and smooth, because it looks a little bit choppy at the minute. But while the first one is drying, we're just going to mix up some Mournfang brown and a little bit of Abaddon black, and then we're just going to do all his leather pouches. And then we'll start to add in more of the Mournfang brown just to make it lighter and lighter, and we're just going to wet blend our way up, starting to highlight and adding in some scratches, some little weathering bits if you like along the way as well. So after a second layer of the Korax white just over the helmet, it's looking a hell of a lot smoother, but it's still not quite as smooth as I'd like. So while we're waiting for that to dry, I'm just going to mix up a little bit of the black and the white to make a sort of darkish grey. And we're going to use this just to highlight the weapons. So again, taking like a medium-sized brush or a fine detail brush if you like, and we're just going to edge highlight the chainsword and the bolt pistol. So continuing with the helmets, I'm going to employ my little cheat code, which is this Apothecary White. So with a medium-sized brush, I'm just going to give it a nice sort of coat, just going over the recesses, all the kind of the gaps. After the contrast paint has dried, we're just going to move over and use this lovely white scar. And with this, we're just going to highlight the helmet, and then we'll be on to doing the final few details, including, of course, doing the logo on the shoulder pad. So moving on to his lenses, I've just gone over and done a base coat of black, just to make sure it's nice and smooth and there's no kind of blue from the previous painting layers showing through. So we're going to mix up black and the red, and then with a small fine detail brush we're just going to paint the first 2/3 of the lens, leaving that back part of the lens visible and bare, so then when we drop in a tiny bit of white, it's going to maximize the contrast of that area and create that reflective glow. Then we're going to mix in some more of the red, and then we're going to do the first third. Then rinsing our brushes, we're going to use pure Mephiston red. And I'm going to go back over that first third just because it wasn't as bright as I thought it was going to be. Then what we can do, if you like, you can just mix in a tiny bit of orange in with your red, as this will make a much brighter red. You don't want to add in white, as of course this will create pink, and it just doesn't quite look right. So I want more of a glow than a brighter red. And then with this, we're just going to apply just a little bit at the very front of the lens. And then rinsing this brush off fully. I'm going to take a tiny bit of white and I'm going to make a little dot at the back. Okay, so I've got a good one on that side. That side's a little bit on the big side, but for me, that's fine. That is all good. So now we'll move over onto the symbol. Okay, so for the symbol, we are going to need black and a little bit of white. So in the artwork that I found, you have a nice trident, and then in the middle is a teeny tiny skull. I'm going to see if I can do the small skull. If I can't, we'll just paint over it and just have a black trident, but I'll see what I can do. So with a small fine needle brush, and again just kind of thin it down with a little bit of water just to help with the flow, we're just going to have a go. And so here we are, friends, at the end of the video. So this is how I went about painting the Emperor Spears chapter for your Space Marine armies. It's been a really fun one to do, and luckily it had quite a low sort of paint count as well, which is fantastic. I'm quite chuffed with how the spear logo turned out. Not too keen on the little skull, but if you're going to be doing this freehand, then I'd recommend just doing the trident and not bother with the tiniest skull in the middle. Unless you're capable, then go right ahead, of course. If you're looking to pick up some of these miniatures for yourselves, then do check out my affiliate link in the description down below for Wayland Games. They are a UK-based retailer and they stock loads of Games Workshop products as well as all kinds of other card games and board games that will tickle your fancies at a generous discount between 10 and 20% off. So keep an eye out for the Black Friday deals as well, as I'm sure they'll be coming in thick and fast. And grab yourselves a bargain and use my link, and a little bit goes towards to support the channel. So it's a win-win. You guys get exactly what you want, and I get a little bit of support from you from using the link. So everyone's happy. If you enjoyed the video, then do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button down below. It only takes 2 seconds, it's free. And if you want to support me a little bit further, then do check out and consider the super thanks button down below as well. Thank you ever so much for watching along and helping to support me and the channel. Stay safe, stay beautiful, and we'll see you all next time.